But I think David Moyes will be really, really happy with the performances have been good, and certainly the fact that Antonio is absolutely on fire, and his link-up play yesterday with Fornals was superb.
And Aston Villa 1, Brentford 1. Brentford still up.
Start here at Turf Moor as Burnley take on Leeds United.
That was our match commentator James Fielden with the team news from Turf Moor. We'll be keeping you updated with events as they unfold. A bit disappointed, Chris, that Burnley aren't lining up 1-11 this week. The inclusion of Ashley Westwood has ruined that.
Yeah, how good was that to see? I mean, not seen that for years and years and years. Really good to see that, you know, it's an old-fashioned club, it's an old-fashioned style, but he knows what his best 11 is, it seems, and he tries to get...
This feels like an important afternoon for them, even so early in the season.
I think so. I think they need to come away with the victory today to be in a positive mindset before the international break, to say we're going to finish in the top half of the table. I think a defeat and only 1 point from the opening 3 games, and you start to think we might be in the bottom half.
And for Patrick Bamford, leading the line up front, having signed a new contract and been called up by England, how keen will he be to put on a show for Gareth Southgate?
You'd like to think he'll be keen to get a goal, certainly, but you're always, I'd imagine, I mean, I was never fortunate enough to get a call up, but you'd imagine that in the back of his mind he wants to make sure that he goes there fit and doesn't get injured.
As Burnley against Leeds then at Turf Moor, kicking off at the same time. Tottenham against Watford, the stands at the magnificent fill up. Let's hear from the two managers, the 100%er Nuno Espirito Santo and his Watford counterpart Heung-Min.
I think Watford is a club that have been able to establish themselves as a Premier League side. So it happened last season, but all of us know Watford pretty well. They've been able to keep the core of the squad. They have good players, a manager that has new ideas, and we see Watford as a tough opponent, and we have a lot of material to analyze, even from the previous season in Championship. Like I say, the players are the same, basically the same, and the attitude of the team, it's clear. They are very competitive.
It's important the first minutes. We come inside fast of the game. It's important the contest, what I said before, is a very good stadium, but it's important the first 10 minutes we give all our best. You know, it's important. We stay concentrate, the team learn about the last situation in the last game away, and it's important. When we arrive there, we stay in the situation fast and immediately try to give all the best in the first minute and in the last minute of the game.
I think we are working well. We started the season with an idea of trying to, first of all, build a squad that is competitive, and I think we are achieving that. Like I said, the players that are coming are settling down. Many things that happen, it's the past. Now we move forward, and we will continue this way. Our natural expectation is to improve game by game, and that starts on a daily process. So prepare yourself, train well, and compete.
You know, also I know about him because we was in Valencia like coach, and sure. You know, it's always when you can stay in the Premier League, I think always you have inspiración, como referencia.
Inspiration.
It's like inspiration for me, you know, and you know, when you are in the best leagues in the world, and the best league in the world, you need work very hard, and sure, I work very hard about this.
Nuno Espirito Santo and Xisco Munoz looking ahead to Tottenham against Watford. Chris, how impressed have you been with the job that Nuno has done since coming into Tottenham, bearing in mind the Harry Kane saga lingering away in the background until very late last week?
I think he's done an excellent job of just playing it all down, really getting on with what he's been able to work with, getting the team together. I've never seen a Spurs team look as close together as a group as they were against Manchester City. You know, everyone was working their socks off, covering each other, getting round, making challenges, and they were almost applauding defending, and that is unheard of at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Let me tell you, I played there for a long time. They wanted to go forward. They weren't too interested in defending. And so to see that means that he's really worked with the players he's got. To get Harry Kane back and staying for the season, I think is a massive bonus, because I think, you know, he's the kind of professional that's going to give his all for this club. He loves this football club.
And what are we expecting from Tottenham this season? Obviously, they underachieved really last year, finishing 7th, their lowest finish in 12 years. That ended up with a place in the inaugural Europa Conference League, clearly not the competition they wanted to be playing, and they found out their opponents this week. They will take on Rennes of France, Moura and Vitesse Arnhem. Surely next season they will be hoping to be rubbing shoulders with more glamorous European opposition.
Yeah, I think certainly the minimum requirement this season will be Europa League. If they could possibly push forward and get towards those Champions League spots, which would take an outstanding season, then I think that would be seen as real progress.
And a quick word on Watford. Are we expecting another long battle with relegation for them?
I think so, yeah. Definitely, I think so. And if they don't keep hold of Ismail Assar, then it could definitely be relegation.
Yeah, deadline day on Tuesday. Still plenty of twists and turns to come, no doubt, in what's been a quite extraordinary transfer window, bearing in mind the number of clubs that were pleading poverty going into this campaign as a result of the pandemic. Records being smashed, massive names on the move as well. But Harry Kane staying put. That's a huge boost for Tottenham ahead of this Sunday afternoon aperitif to the main event. Wolves against Manchester United at 4:30, Burnley against Leeds also at 2 o'clock kickoff. But we start in North London for Tottenham against Watford. This is Premier League Live.
It's the ultimate fusion of football and celebrity. The Best 11 podcast from Talk Sport. Johnny Owen and Mark Webster interview the biggest names in popular culture, looking back at the role the beautiful game has played in their lives.
Paul Weller. Could I just start off apologising for last weekend? Actor Stephen Graham. Good morning, Stevie.
Morning. Sharing their earliest football memories, how they celebrated their team's successes, culminating in their all-time best 11.
Noel Gallagher.
Let's deal with the hangover and let's have it again after that.
The Best 11 podcast. Subscribe now on Acast, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
I'm Tom Rennie. Join me for a weekly podcast, Week in the Tackle, available wherever you get your podcasts. I'm going to be joined by Brian Dunseth, MLS legend, to tackle the biggest stories from the week in soccer.
And the great thing about working with Tom and making Week in the Tackle is we're only going to be covering things we think are worth tackling.
This show is all about passion. What's going to get us riled up? What's going to get you riled up to give us all something to chew on?
We're not here to sit on the fence and tell you the stories of the day. That's what your phone's for. You'll be scrolling through Twitter while listening anyways.
Exactly. I'm scrolling through Twitter right now. I'll save you the trouble. It is all bad news. This show is about tackling all the news of the week, giving our take on why it's interesting and why we think you should know.
Who should be sacked? Who should be bought? Who should be sold? Who was right? Who was wrong?
Strong opinion, big stories, no agenda.
Week in the Tackle is available on Mondays from wherever you get your podcasts. If it's a big story in soccer, we'll tackle it.
Got an unquenchable thirst for sport? Get up to speed with the day's biggest sports stories with the Talk Sport Hit. Crammed full of the latest team news, big match previews, and discussing the day's hottest topics.
Then improvement week in, week out.
Plus, get all the latest results and full fan reaction to the biggest events in world sport.
It's a wonderful goal!
Satisfy your thirst for sports news with the Talk Sport Hit. Subscribe now on Acast, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
The Women's Football Weekly Podcast
with Faker from across the entire women's game.
Cleared off the line by...
including the Women's Super League, the UEFA Women's Champions League,
Lana Cleland striking from outside the penalty area,
and the Euro 2021 qualifiers.
On the edge of the area to Emsley, and Emsley's going to finish it off.
Plus, all the home nations' international friendlies.
Lucy Bronze with the strike from the edge of the penalty area.
World-beating big match conversation.
There's Jodie Taylor.
Subscribe now to the Women's Football Weekly Podcast on Acast, Apple Podcast, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
You are listening to TalkSport's coverage of Tottenham Hotspur against Watford from the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. I'm your host, Alex Crook. Alongside me is the former Tottenham defender, Chris Perry. This is Premier League Live. Well, North London has certainly been a hub of activity this summer, but with the Harry Kane saga finally at a positive conclusion as far as Tottenham are concerned, there is an air of cautious optimism among their fans, especially with neighbours Arsenal propping up the table. Victory this afternoon would take Nuno Espirito Santo's team to the summit with the only remaining 100% record. The Portuguese is also bidding to become only the second Spurs manager ever to win his first 3 league games, and the first since Arthur Rowe to achieve that feat way back in 1949. As for Watford, it was a serene reintroduction to the Premier League with an opening day home win over Aston Villa, but they were brought crashing down to earth with defeat against Brighton at the Amex Stadium last time out. Signs in that performance that it could be another long, hard season for the Hornets. The big team news is that Harry Kane, having pledged his future to Spurs this week, for this summer anyway, starts in the Premier League for the first time this season, with Lucas Moura dropping to the bench. 4 alterations for Watford. Francisco Sierralta comes in at the back. Moussa Sissoko, so soon after leaving the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, makes an immediate debut against his former club. Juraj Kucka is back from injury, while Josh King makes his first Premier League start since arriving at Vicarage Road. The 2 lineups in full for Spurs: Lloris in goal, Tanganga, Sanchez, Dyer and Reguilon, Højbjerg, Skip, Dele Alli, and then Son and Bergwijn supporting Kane up front. Watford have Backman in goal, Cathcart, Troost-Ekong, Sierralta and Massina in defence. Atibo in front of them. Sarr, Sissoko, Kucka and Dennis make up the midfield, with Josh King up front. Andre Mariner is the referee, while Jared Gillett will be keeping an eagle eye on events as VAR official at Stockley Park. We are just about set for kick-off. The stadium pretty much full to capacity, as the majority of players take a knee, applauded by those inside the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, and it will be Watford in their yellow shirts, black shorts and yellow socks who get us off and underway here on Premier League Live this afternoon. Spurs shooting from right to left in their white jerseys, navy shorts and navy socks, and a chance for Harry Kane straight away, who's been bundled over by Atibo. Big shout certainly from the Tottenham fans for a penalty. Referee Andre Mariner waves away those appeals, but they all came, Chris Perry, from Watford giving the ball away cheaply on the edge of their own penalty area.
Yeah, it was an awful clearance.
Here comes Dennis at the other end, though, looking for the cutback in the centre. It might still be an opportunity for a strike at goal, and it's headed away acrobatically over the crossbar from Dyer. I think it was Juraj Kucka who let fly from the edge of the box.
Yeah, it was good from Watford, wasn't it, on the counter-attack. Dennis breaking into the box, little set to the edge of the box from Sissoko. There's Kucka trying to bend it into the bottom left-hand corner, and Eric Dyer got his body in the way. At the other end, Daniel Backman with a really poor kick straight to Steven Bergwijn, who played in Harry Kane, who took a touch, looking to get turned and go towards goal. And
that was clumsy from Atibo.
Certainly clumsy from Atibo, definitely. Fortunate to get away with it.
Could well have been a penalty. Corner at the other end, swept away at the near post by Højbjerg, and here is Bergwijn now dispossessed by Sissoko. And Atibo picked it up midway inside his own half. 0-0, but a frantic start. We've only seen one replay. I think there may have been enough contact for a penalty kick for Tottenham.
I think had that been a little bit later on in the game, I think almost certainly a penalty kick. I think because the referee didn't give it, I think it wasn't a clear and obvious error so far, probably couldn't overturn it.
2 minutes played, 0-0 here in North London. 0-0 in the game has just got underway at Turf Moor as well. Burnley against Leeds. We will have goals as they go in that one, as Sergio Reguilon, the former Sevilla defender, plays it back to the edge of his own penalty area, and Davinson Sanchez brings the ball now towards halfway. And he looks to switch it out from his left-hand side. It was steered in towards Bergwijn, but headed clear by the Northern Irishman Cathcart. And then Ismaila Sarr volleys the ball against Dele Alli and out for a Watford throw.
You'd like to think that Spurs could maybe take advantage of the fact that Cathcart's playing at right back, certainly not a natural right back, played most of his career as a centre-back, and Bergwijn's pace could cause him real problems.
Dele Alli has just wrestled possession away from Sissoko. Plays it out the right-hand side as we look, and Japhet Tanganga starting his third successive Premier League game for only the second time in his career. Tanganga, Hackney-born, very much one of their own here at Tottenham. And it's Højbjerg now just inside Watford territory. 4 minutes gone, still 0-0 on Premier League Live. Son picks it up over on the right-hand side, tries to skip away from the attentions of Dennis, but well won back by Sierralta. In the end it goes out of play for a Tottenham throw, level with the penalty area, still on that right touch line, so Tanganga has the ball in his hands. Hoists it towards Harry Kane just on the corner of the 18-yard box. Now Skip up to Højbjerg down the right. Watford with every what will be a goal kick.
Yeah, it was really nice work, wasn't it? Højbjerg into Son, played in behind, should be able to cross that in, looking to bend it round the defender, and got it completely wrong, just kicked it behind for a goal kick.
Watford have only won one of the last 16 league meetings between these two. The one going back to August of 1987. They lost their first away game back in the Premier League 2-0 at Brighton last weekend. It was a really poor performance from the Hornets that afternoon. Here comes Ismaila Sarr, who's got the beating of Reguilon, or has he?
It's a foul.
Reguilon sliding in.
Yeah, it's a foul.
The referee says free kick. In fact, the assistant on the near side, I think, was the main decision maker in that process, but that will encourage Watford, the ease with which Sarr sprinted beyond his marker.
Yeah, he got turned so quickly, didn't he? Sarr on the right hand touchline looked to be running away from Reguilon, who went to ground, catches the leg of Sarr before he gets to the ball. Certain free kick.
And again, later in the game, that may well have been a yellow card.
Absolutely.
As it is, Watford looking to inflict punishment of their own from the free kick. Sarr just helped back to his feet by Sissoko. Only completed Moussa Sissoko a £2.5 million move on Friday, having played more than 200 games for Spurs, but straight into the thick of the action here. And he will be one of the targets for this free kick that will be played into the penalty area by Adam Messina, the left back. They do have plenty of height, Watford, the likes of Sierralta and Cathcart come forward from the back. Referee Andre Mariner just having a word or two with Dele Alli, who is getting up close and personal with Sierralta. I might just play this to the edge of the penalty area where Ismaila Sarr is unmarked. Messina does play it into the 6-yard box, and Bergwijn almost plays it back into the danger zone with his clearance. Tottenham in the end do hoist it clear to halfway. I think Xisco Munoz, Chris Perry, will be reasonably encouraged with the way that Watford have started this game, apart from that early mistake by Bachmann that Tottenham almost seized upon.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah, they look comfortable, they look confident in possession. They certainly look as though Dennis and Sarr on the two wings are going to cause Spurs problems.
0-0 with 7 minutes played. Don't forget, Wolves against Manchester United following this game and already underway. Burnley hosting Leeds at Turf Moor. Josh King plays it out to the right hand side, and Sarr running at Reguilon. Sarr into the penalty area. Can he get the cross in? Blocked away by Dyer, but plenty of early pressure here from the visiting team. Sarr again with a cross deep to the far post, headed away by Sanchez. Kuczka thought about the shot from the edge of the area, had his pocket picked by Son, and he clears it upfield. Tottenham can't get out at the moment.
No.
Here's a Tebow just on the edge of the centre circle. Switches the play out to the left-hand side, and Emmanuel Dennis, the Nigerian, got his season off to a goal-scoring start against Aston Villa, becoming the 4th Nigerian, Chris, to score on his Premier League debut. Can you name the other 3?
Probably not. Yakubu?
No.
Efenikoku?
No.
I haven't got a clue then. Go on.
John Utaka, Peter Odinwingie and Odion Igalo.
Well, there you go.
Player.
There you go.
Can't believe he didn't say Kanu. That would have been wrong as well.
Well, that's why I didn't say it, Alex. The other three I said were wrong, so...
Long throw down the left-hand side for Watford by Messina. King stretching Sanchez, dragging him out of position. Josh King. Been a long time since he scored a goal in the Premier League. Working tigerishly down that left touchline.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that when you go back to the Manchester City game, one of the features of that game was how the fullbacks got help from the two wide midfield players in dealing with the wingers. It was obviously Sterling was out there, Grealish was out there, Mahrez on the other side of the pitch. And here they're just leaving Reguilon and Tanganga 1v1 against Dennis and Sam. And I wonder if that's a little bit brave and a little bit lack of respect.
Here's Bergwijn, edge of the Watford penalty area. He's got Reguilon in support, back heels it into Dele Alli, who then does find Reguilon on this near touchline. His cross takes a deflection. Højbjerg taps it down for Kane, who just tried to dink it to the far post. I don't think he was going for goal. In the end, it sails over the crossbar and behind for a goal kick. He may have been going for goal.
I think he was going for goal. It's good play from Spurs. Reguilon's ball's headed out by Sissoko. Lovely little touch from Højbjerg. I think he should fire that with his laces low and hard across goal.
I think he was going for the shot, wasn't he?
He tried to dink it to the far post. That a la Glenn Hoddle against Watford all those years ago.
Showing your age there, Chris. Kane tries to help it forward. Cleared away by Sierra Alter out to this near touchline and chested down on halfway by Sarr. Tell you what, it's a really enjoyable game so far. Lots of tempo, lots of good attacking play as well, despite the 0-0 scoreline 10 minutes in.
It's fair to say Watford haven't come to sit back and defend, have they? They fancy their chances.
Already it's been a much more progressive performance from Watford than they produced at Brighton last weekend. The Austrian goalkeeper Bachmann has launched it long upfield, and again Sarr fancies his chances against Reguilon. This time just ran out of pitch, and the ball trickles harmlessly out for a throw. That throw in taken by Reguilon. And now Davinson Sanchez, the Colombian international, once again will trot forward towards the halfway line for Tottenham. Here's Dyer forward to Ollie Skip, just to shift it out to his left hand side in Bergwijn, but it was telegraphed and read by Cathcart. Watford now have it back deep inside their own territory with Troost-Ekong. Travelling Watford fans behind Batman's goal, making plenty of noise in the North London sunshine as Messina smashes his clearance against the Tottenham player and out for a throw. Danny Rose amongst the interested spectators on the Watford bench this afternoon. And the ex-Tottenham man who hoped to get some kind of minutes under his belt on his former stomping ground, as Sissoko was penalised, I think, there for a foul on Skip.
Yeah, Oliver Skip probably one of the main reasons that Sissoko's had to move on. His emergence last season at Norwich on loan.
Yeah, and he's been shown an awful lot of faith, hasn't he, by Nuno Espirito Santo early in the season, the young midfielder. Here is Bergwijn down the left hand side. Two Tottenham players wait in the centre. Son just lurking on the edge of the D. Rolls it into the feet of Højbjerg, who feinted a shoot and then strokes it out to the right hand side to Tanganga. Watford have got plenty of yellow shirts back behind the ball now. I wonder if Harry Kane would have preferred the cross to have come in sooner. Skip out to the left hand side and Reguilon. They've gone all the way back, Chris, to the halfway line.
I think that's the problem for Spurs down the right hand side, with Japhet Tanganga, who's a very defensive minded right back, comes centre back, not natural going forward.
Dele Alli has picked out Højbjerg, and Tanganga is forward this time, clips it back towards Son. Bergwijn with a shot on the volley, deflected behind by Cathcart for a corner.
Yeah, he's not natural, Japhet Tanganga, but I'll tell you what, he's quick and he knows how to slide tackle, which is basically what he did to keep this ball from Højbjerg in. Just cut it back into an area. Son just missed the header, came to Bergwijn on the half volley, and it's a really important block from Craig Cathcart because it was on target.
What he is, Tanganga, is a very athletic player.
He is game, Japhet Tanganga. Fortunate enough to coach him for a few months, him and Oliver Skipp.
Did you know then that both would go on and emerge as Premier League talents? I'll ask you that in a moment, because Son's played in the corner. It's headed away by Josh King, collected by Højbjerg midway inside the Watford half, and he's rolled it into Son, who made a clever run down the right hand side. Watford quickly closed the door on that. Højbjerg with a deep cross this time. Cathcart didn't realise Harry Kane was behind him and headed it straight to the Tottenham forward. Kane trying to get the ball out from under his feet, crosses into the area, cleared away this time by Kutska. And then Dele Alli has given it away cheaply to King. He hasn't got much support, Josh King. In fact, nobody in yellow anywhere near him at this moment. Has to hold the play up, tries to feed it into Sarr, who quickly had gobbled up the ground, but Tottenham deal with the danger, and it's cleared away by their goalkeeper Hugo Lloris.
What a pace this game's being played at.
You didn't even get time to answer my question.
No, you could. I think Oliver Skipp, you could tell from day one, just such an old head on young shoulders. You kind of knew he was. They thought so highly of him. You knew he was going to be a player. It was just how long it was going to take him physically to get up to speed. Japhet Tanganga, I think there was a few more doubts about him, and there probably still are doubts about whether long term he's going to be big enough to be a centre back in this league, or whether he may have to ply his trade at right back.
He's unbeaten, Oliver Skipp, in 17 Premier League appearances. Good omen. Here's Josh King though. Holds it up neatly on the edge of the penalty area, feeds it into Sarr. Sarr trying to shift the ball onto his right foot, drills the shot straight into the gloves of Hugo Lloris.
It's a really good game, isn't it? Lovely ball in from Kutska into the area, held up well by Josh King. Just lays it to his right hand side, where Ismaila Sarr comes on, hits it.
Here's Bergwijn at the other end. It's like a basketball match at times.
It's so open, isn't it?
Harry Kane into Dele Alli. Son ahead of him. Here is Bergwijn now, 10 yards outside the penalty area. He leaves it for Kane. Again, Watford well drilled, plenty back behind the ball, but Kane still finds Son, left corner of the box, and Kane waiting to make a late burst into the centre. Son pulls it back for Højbjerg. Tanganga again has got space to work with down the right, crosses, glanced away by a Thibaut, kept alive by Dele Alli with the dreadlocks, and here's Dele Alli again, tries to chip it over the top of the Watford defence, blocked by Sissoko, and then Davinson Sanchez climbing all over Josh King, but no foul, says Andre Mariner, and Spurs still have the ball with Højbjerg in the centre of the Watford half, away to our left. Here's Skipp now, back to Dyer on halfway, 16 gone, still goalless in North London, and the same scoreline at Turf Moor, where Burnley are taking on Leeds. Spurs fans making themselves heard. Here is Son, stroking the ball into the centre circle for Davinson Sanchez. Son now Skipp floats it out to his left hand side, and Reguilon, who stayed forward into the path of Bergwijn, and collected now by Dele Alli. Only Kane and Son ahead of the ball, so Dele Alli goes back to Eric Dyer in the centre circle.
Watford got a really good defensive shape. Back four with 5 midfielders strung across the pitch in front of them.
Reguilon will cross from the left, headed clear by Cathcart, but can get much distance on that header away. And Dele Alli floats it towards Son at the far post. Well watched by Messina to make the clearance. And here's Kutska now trying to set Watford on the counter-attack, but Højbjerg closes him down quickly and ciphers the ball out for a throw. No Troy Deeney, Chris, on the Watford bench this afternoon. That's interesting, because Watford did release a statement on Friday saying that he was in talks with the board of directors about his future at Vicarage Road.
Yeah, I think the fact that they got Josh King in and Emmanuel Dennis would suggest that Troy Deeney's going to be probably third choice as centre forward. I know what a legend he is at Watford Football Club, but looks like he may have to move on if he's going to get game time, whether it's on loan or permanent.
Surely his beloved Birmingham City might just be in the race for his signature if he was to drop down into the Championship.
He's a proven goal scorer at that level, isn't he? You know, he really has scored goals all through his career in the Championship.
He's been a tremendous servant, as you say. 12 years, 15 different managers, I think Troy Deeney has played under. It's been like a revolving door at times at Vicarage Road, but more often than not, those managerial changes have proved fruitful. Not too many people knew an awful lot about Xisco Munoz, the Spaniard, when he came in early last season. He's won 19 of his 28 league games in charge. Good record. Here's Kane, dropping deep into midfield, looking for Son in the penalty area. Headed clear by Serralta. And Messina races across to stop the ball going behind for a corner at the expense of a throw down by that left corner flag.
Yeah, that Son-Kane combination, whatever way you say it, you know, they have such a great link-up, such a great understanding of where each other are going to be.
And we saw it time and again, didn't we, last season? Skip tries to drive Spurs forward, just a sign maybe in the last 4 or 5 minutes that Tottenham are beginning to get control of the game. Here's Tanganga, cuts it back to Son on the edge of the area, dispossessed by Kutska, and he concedes a corner.
Again, I think Japet Tanganga there is almost better off firing it across the box. Harry Kane is in the 6-yard box, just waiting for that ball to come in behind the defenders.
Plenty of white shirts forward to try and get on the end of this one. Sanchez, Dyer, Kane, Dele Alli, all inside the 18-yard box. Harry Kane at the double in the Conference League playoff in midweek. And the goalkeeper looks like he's been fouled there as Dyer heads it over. And Andre Mariner has given a free kick to Watford. Or has he?
He's given a corner, hasn't he?
Wow. It looked to me as if Backman was just pushed over as that ball was being whipped in. Certainly that's what the Austrian is suggesting to Andre Mariner, but it is a corner.
I think he stopped it before. I think he blew the whistle before the corner came in, so it's the initial corner. I think there was certainly contact on Backman.
Take two from this corner from the right-hand side. Again, Sanchez trying to make a noose of himself right in front of Daniel Backman, the Watford goalkeeper. Son whips it in towards the near post. It's still alive in there. Oh, prodded goalwards, I think, by Tanganga. And somehow Watford hook it away from inside the 6-yard box.
It's like a pinball machine in there for a couple of seconds, wasn't it? Rebounding off different bodies, just waiting to see whether it was going to fall for Harry Kane. It didn't quite do so.
It's the voice of Chris Perry, the former Tottenham defender, here on Premier League Live. 0-0 between his old club and Watford with 21 minutes played. Dyer knocks it out to the right-hand side, headed clear by Messina. And here comes Dennis now over the halfway line for Watford. They do have plenty of pace on the counter-attack, and Dennis has got it back from Kutska and makes his way into the box now. Dennis might even get a shot away here. Dennis deflects off a Tottenham player, and in the end elected by Hugo Lloris.
Yeah, it was good from Dennis, wasn't it, though? Elusive down that left-hand side, wants to come back on his right foot, fakes to shoot, cuts inside, fakes to shoot again, then does try and bend it into the far corner. Højbjerg with the block that was important. It fell to Josh King, but again his shot was blocked by Reguilon.
Good play by Sissoko, dispossessing his former teammate Kane in the centre circle.
He looks up for it, doesn't he, Moussa Sissoko?
And it has been known in the past, hasn't it, when these kind of fixture quirks, if you like, have come up, that clubs have come to a gentleman's agreement. I remember when Andy Cole left Newcastle to join Manchester United, those two were due to play the following weekend. Andy Cole sat that one out. I think the Premier League have actually got something in the laws now whereby those agreements can't be struck.
Yeah, it does. It makes sense for the two clubs, I think, and sometimes for the player as well. But I don't think it's right that it does happen.
Yeah, brings into question the subject of sporting integrity, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
A lot of talk about that this week. Here's Kutska forward to Dennis just inside the Spurs half. 0-0 the score here on Premier League Live. Kutska and Dennis again combining well, and Kutska bursting away from Skip. He had his heels clipped, and that will be a free kick for Watford right on the edge of the penalty area. It's been good combination play throughout this first half between Juraj Kutska and Emmanuel Dennis over on that left-hand side.
Kutska's been a top player in Italy for a long time now. Come over here, so much experience, but really it's linked up superbly with Emmanuel Dennis down that left-hand side.
This is a free kick in dangerous range for Watford. A yard outside the penalty area, level with the right-hand corner of Lloris's 18-yard box. Messina and Dennis are the two players stood over the ball. And Dennis is shaping like he might just go for goal here.
There's a signal here from Messina as well, wasn't there, behind his back, so the Watford players know what's happening. Not sure the Tottenham ones do.
Hugo Lloris sporting the captain's armband. Well, I'm not sure the signal was for Dennis to smash it 6 rows behind the goal.
Just gets underneath it, doesn't it? Tries to go for the power and the whip, so it's got enough pace to beat Hugo Lloris, but it's way over the crossbar.
Just watching that Tottenham corner back from a few minutes ago is actually a really good piece of goalkeeping from Bachmann, keeping out the close range effort from Tanganga with his legs and managing to guide the ball away from Harry Kane, who, as Chris Perry correctly spotted, was waiting just to tap in the rebound. That poacher's instinct that has served Kane so well throughout his career. 33 goals last season for Harry Kane, and plenty of assists along the way as well. And he stroked a lovely ball out the right hand side of Tanganga here. Son on the edge of the penalty area, trying to feed it through for Kane. It's hooked clear by Messina and then plucked from the North London sky by Højbjerg.
I think Tottenham taking control now, aren't they? They're dominating possession, forcing Watford back, but Watford have a real threat on the counter with the pace on the wings of Sarr and Dennis still.
Dele Alli into the feet of Bergwijn. Reguilon just about keeps it in play on the touchline, and here's Dyer now inside the Tottenham half of the field. Still goalless. Watford, who scored 63 goals in the Championship last season, leading the charts. Got 3 in their opening weekend win against Aston Villa, when in truth 3-2 probably flattered Villa. Here's Bergwijn cutting in from the left-hand side, trying to force it through for Son. Cleared up, away for a throw by Sierralta.
He sensed the danger well there, Sierralta. Just stepped across in front of Son and cleared the danger.
Sierralta, the Chilean centre-back, former Udinese man. Of course, there is a big connection between Watford and the Italian club. Tottenham look to come forward down their right-hand side with 19 minutes of the first half to play. At TalkSport Live is our Twitter address. Let us know where in the world you are listening. I'm sure plenty of African interest with the likes of Dennis and Ismaila Sarr in the Watford ranks. Here's Højbjerg guiding the ball out to the left-hand side, and Bergwijn towards the far post, but that curls over the head of Harry Kane and behind for a goal kick for Watford. Disappointing from Steven Bergwijn. I think it's fair to say, Chris, is yet really to live up to his potential. He had that incredible debut, didn't he, scoring against Manchester City. No goals in his last 31 Premier League games, but again, he's a player who seems to have the confidence of Nuno Espirito Santo this season.
He started the season well, hasn't he, in the 2 games, certainly in the league. It was always going to be a question of whether it was going to be Lucas Moura or Steven Bergwijn who was going to drop out when Harry Kane was available. They've gone with Bergwijn in the team. I'm not so sure. I prefer Heung-Min Son when he plays on that left-hand side, and that maybe Steven Bergwijn can't play on the right. Heung-Min Son coming in on that right foot, I think, was a real threat for Spurs last season.
Still very early in Nuno's tenure. Still trying to mould the team, still trying to get new signings in between now and next Tuesday as well. Sarr again gets the chance to try and run at Reguilon down the Tottenham left. Pulls it back for Sissoko. Now Peter Atibo midway inside the Tottenham half. He goes back to Messina just inside Spurs territory on that left for Watford. Now Sierralta picks it up on the edge of the centre circle. This time it's Tottenham who've done well to keep their shape and force Watford from what looked to be a promising attacking position back inside their own half. And they're content, Tottenham, at the moment, just to let Watford play the ball around in an area where they can't really do any damage. Here's Sissoko though, sprinting away from Dele Alli. His pass forward towards King was slightly undercooked, and Skip able to usher it back via Dyer to the goalkeeper Hugo Lloris, and they played their way out neatly. Here comes Tanganga down the right, away from Dennis, despite what looked like a foul from the Watford man. Good advantage played though, as Dennis again impedes Tanganga, but the loose ball fell kindly to Son, and that's a poor tackle on Harry Kane by Atiba, and he will pick up a yellow card as a result of that.
It's a rash challenge, wasn't it? Good run from Tanganga down the right, comes back inside. Skip looks to feed the ball into Harry Kane. It's a late check. It doesn't really catch. I think it's a bit of a harsh yellow card. He slips, doesn't he? And he only ends up catching him with his arm, really. Probably looks worse from Andre Mariner's angle than it was.
Tell you what though, it's a good position for Tottenham with the free kick. The Watford manager Xisco Munoz just in a bit of conflag with the fourth official, maybe suggesting, as Chris did, that wasn't really a tackle worthy of a yellow card. Maybe the reaction from Kane as much as the challenge itself.
Let's look. Andre Mariner's looking straight at it. It probably looks like he catches him with his foot. He doesn't at all.
Big moment this for Spurs.
It's a good position, isn't it? Just right of centre. Harry Kane is.
It was Eric Dyer actually
in the box. Eric Dyer. Well, we've seen him have a few goes at free kicks.
It's a long way out to try and beat Daniel Bachmann.
Well, it looks like he's shooting just from the position of Kane and Son, would suggest that they're not going to float this up to the back post, because you'd imagine Dyer would be there.
Dyer then, with 15 minutes of the first half remaining, it deflects off the wall and straight into the gloves of Bachmann.
Yeah, it was pretty much a pass back, wasn't it, from Eric Dyer?
We have to go back to May 2019 for the last time Dyer scored in the Premier League. That was never really threatening to end the drought. Josh King is barged off the ball by Tanganga. Here comes Dyer in the white footwear towards the halfway line. Spreads the play out to the left-hand side of Bergwijn. Now Skip dropping deep. Shifting it to his right, Højbjerg. Tanganga again well forward on that far side for Spurs. Can he get across into the box? He does so, but it's headed up really away by Craig Cathcart. Harry Kane trying to keep it alive. Messina does well in the air against the England captain. And then Kutska clears it up towards Josh King, but a strong sliding tackle by Skip keeps the ball for Tottenham. Good game, Ollie Skip, at the heart of that Spurs midfield so far. Here he is now, halfway inside the Watford half of the field. Tanganga combining Nick with Højbjerg, crossing. It wasn't a great delivery, headed behind by Messina for a corner. I think end product is something that maybe Tanganga needs to work on the training ground.
Yeah, he's not a natural right back, so he won't have got into those crossing positions. Certainly in his youth career he was a centre back all the way through. It's not natural for him, and something he can certainly improve on.
Son will take the corner in front of the travelling Watford supporters. Over on the right hand side, Dyer has come up from the back, so too Sanchez. Tanganga lurking on the edge of the 6-yard box. Dyer colliding there with Sanchez, heads it high over the crossbar. The two Tottenham players really got in each other's way.
He gets a good header on it, Sanchez, but he's just having to lean back away from goal, which means that the header rises over the crossbar.
There was talk of David Sanchez heading to Sevilla when Tottenham were looking at Jules Koundé in a possible swap deal. Chelsea now a more likely destination for Koundé between now and 11 o'clock on Tuesday, with Kurt Zouma completing his move to West Ham overnight. And West Ham closing in on the signing of a former Everton player, Nikola Vlasic, for £25 million, a fee agreed this morning between the two clubs. Vlasic, Chris, you'll remember, had a fairly uninspiring 2-year spell at Everton in the Premier League.
I do, yep. Didn't play too many games, did he?
West Ham doing big business in the final days of the transfer window. Here is Bergwijn, just outside the area. Leaves him a Harry Kane. He might think about a shot here. Into Son instead. Son on the edge of the 6-yard box. Gives it to Dele Alli. Having been forced away from goal, and then Dele Alli backheels it straight to Sarr, but they've still got it here. Son with a shot, right-footed, low and wide.
This all started with a beautifully disguised pass from Harry Kane into the feet of Heung-Min Son inside the 6-yard box. He just couldn't quite get turn, was well marked actually by Sierralta, forced him back. Dele Alli then finds Son again, who cuts inside on his right foot and looks to bend it in the far corner, decides to drag it near post and try and give the keeper the eyes, but well wide of the goal.
12 minutes to go until half-time. Still we await the first goal in the Premier League on this Sunday afternoon. Spurs 0, Watford 0, as Danny Rose gets a warm ovation from the Tottenham fans going through his warm-ups, a broad smile and a thumbs up from the former Spurs left-back. And it's 0-0 as well at Turf Moor, Burnley against Leeds United. Manchester United's trip to Wolves still to come. It's a dangerous header by Cathcart, back to his goalkeeper back, and he had to react quickly and get there ahead of Bergwijn.
You say dangerous, he's got it absolutely inch perfect there, Craig Cathcart.
Here's Kucka, imposing midfielder for Watford, one of their big summer arrivals from Parma. 34 years of age now, the Slovakian, but he is an uncompromising character. As Reguilón clears it into chance for a throw, Nuno Espirito Santo hands in pockets. Surveying proceedings from the edge of the technical area, looking for his 100th win in English football. He does have a negative head-to-head against Watford, lost 3 of his 5 meetings with the Hornets, including that incredible FA Cup semi-final from a few seasons ago when his Wolverhampton Wanderers side were 2-0 up, ended up losing by 3-2 and missing out on a place in the final. Watford subsequently hammered by Manchester City in that final, you may recall.
That was a mismatch in the final, wasn't it?
Just a bit. Was it 7-0? Here's Kane, left corner of the penalty area, taking on Troost-Ekong. Trying to turn away from the Watford central defender, finds Dele Alli, who might get a shot off here, drills it straight into the arms of Backman.
It's a poor effort from Dele Alli, it really is. Needs to be looking to bend it in the far corner. Just dragged it hopelessly, really, at the goalkeeper.
Here's Messina well forward, tries to switch it out the right hand side, had it cleared by Reguilón. Thanks to Ripple for getting in touch, enjoying your call in St. Louis, Missouri. This season is gearing up to be the best Premier League campaign ever. So much talent. Do you agree with that, Chris Perry?
I think with Ronaldo coming to the league, I think it certainly gives an extra edge to the Premier League. I think the top 4 this season look as though it's going to be a really tight battle.
Mohamed is enjoying what he calls captivating commentary live on Diamond FM in Ghana. You'll have seen a lot of Cristiano Ronaldo at Juventus with your television work. What sort of Cristiano Ronaldo are Manchester United getting?
He's a much better goal scorer now than when he left. Probably not quite as mobile, won't like to play out in wide areas, but an ultimate professional that has scored goals for fun at whatever league he's played at in the last 10 years.
Just his personality and his aura will lift the dressing room and lift the fans.
And what a place to bring through Rashford and Greenwood and people like that. To learn off of him, the ultimate professional, I'd say.
Here's Skip just on the edge of the penalty area. Ronaldo's second debut for Manchester United is likely to be at home to Newcastle. The first game back after the international break. A rare Saturday 3 o'clock UK time kick-off for Manchester United at home. I bet the TV companies are kicking themselves about that one.
They didn't read the situation, did they?
We will of course have that game for you here on Premier League Live. What an occasion it will be as Ronaldo returns to his spiritual home. 8 minutes in the first half left here. Just a bit of a lull in proceedings after a pretty breakneck tempo to the game for the majority of this first half.
I think this is where Spurs struggle still. When teams are sat back in a 5 and a 4, 2 banks across the pitch, deep, just outside the 18-yard box, I think Spurs lack the guile to break open these defences.
And that really is why there will still be such a gap between them and the top 4. Sissoko just having to apologise to his former manager Nuno Espirito Santo, having kicked the ball in his face. Not deliberately.
No, absolutely not. No, he took it well, didn't he, Nuno?
Here is Dele Alli over the halfway line, urging Bergwijn to maybe show a bit more mobility in front of him there. Terse exchange of words between the two teammates. Tottenham winning throw on the right. Nuno doesn't look particularly pleased with what he's watching. Arms folded, ashen faced, the Tottenham manager. Not just because Sissoko has smashed the ball at him from 2 yards. An embrace between the two on the touchline. Højbjerg picks it up right in the centre of the Watford half. Out to the left and Reguilon. Here is Bergwijn coming in from the left-hand side in towards Son. And now Højbjerg looking for Reguilon. Watford do well again to stifle that attack and clear the ball up towards the halfway line. Xisco Munoz will well be the happier of the two managers if his team can get at half time with the scoreline still blank. Watford having conceded 2 or more goals in 7 of their last 9 Premier League games. They struggled particularly away from home, lost their last 6 on the road in the top division. 20 goals conceded in those 6 defeats.
Yeah, and they failed to score in 5 of those, haven't they?
So something I put to Xisco after the game at Brighton. Do you need to improve your away form to stand any chance of staying up? He seemed quite relaxed about the situation and felt they would pick up the majority of their points at Vicarage Road. Here is Bergwijn taking that ball neatly from the air down by the left corner flag. His deflected cross falls for Skip on the edge of the area. It's to shoot by the Tottenham fans, but instead rolls it out to the right. Tanganga. Kane dropping deep again, 4 yards outside the box. Hasn't really had a decent sight of goal yet, Harry Kane. Here is Pierre Højbjerg for Spurs. Looking for Tanganga, who again's made a good overlap. Crosses into the centre. Bergwijn nods it down. Dele Alli flicking it over the head of a couple of Watford players, and Kuczka did really well under pressure to nod it back to his goalkeeper.
So calm from Kuczka. He was in control of the situation. It was a poor cross from Tanganga. Bergwijn keeps it alive. Lovely little juggling act from Dele Alli, looking to hook it over his head and turn and volley it, but Kuczka was always in control, just got his body in the way and nodded it back to his goalkeeper.
Wasn't quite so cool and composed from Sierra Alta, playing it out on the left-hand side for a Tottenham throw-in, which is taken quickly by Højbjerg. Here is Sanchez now, just inside his own half, away to our right. Eric Dyer will trot forward into Watford territory. Can Spurs get their nose in front before the interval? Bergwijn. Neat little skip away from Sarr, and then claims he was impeded by Cathcart. The referee is in agreement with Chris Perry. Fair challenge.
Steve, he was never going to get on the end of the ball. He kicked it so far ahead of him and then just throws himself into Craig Cathcart.
They're the type of challenges that we have seen let go more often than not this season.
The
referee has given a free kick.
I don't think that's a free kick. Where's Craig Cathcart meant to go there?
Watford will feel aggrieved if Tottenham can do anything from this set piece.
Very generous.
Son played in right-footed from the left-hand side. Queue of white shirts just inside the Watford penalty area. Son has counted in. Well, I'm not sure he was deliberately going for goal, Son, but that is the outcome, and some way to mark his 200th Premier League appearance. Son, from the free kick that maybe shouldn't have been a free kick, was just trying to put it into the danger zone in the 6-yard box, and it sails beyond backman and into the corner of goal.
Yeah.
Tottenham 1, Watford 0.
Big question marks here, I think, over Daniel Bachmann. It's a poor ball really from Son. It's straight into the goalkeeper's hands. And there's no one even looks like they're going to get a touch on it. Buckman has to deal with this. It's not like someone ran across the front of him and looked like they were going to get a touch on it. This was just a straight ball. He can see it all the way, and he completely misjudges it. Terrible goalkeeping from the Watford keeper.
Not that Son will be complaining. He does love a goal against Watford. 6 and 11 now against the Hornets for the South Korean. One of the most popular players amongst the Tottenham fans, and taking full advantage there of the mistake by Bachmann.
Lots of similarities.
Spurs the lead.
Weren't there lots of similarities between that goal and the goal against Manchester City, in the way that he hit it across goal, and there were attackers running across the front of Ederson and running across the front of Bachmann, and neither goalkeeper was able to react.
Well, he might well claim it was a deliberate attempt on goal, but I'm pretty sure he was just trying to put it in an area.
100%. But you say in those positions that you always aim to hit the back, make sure you put it inside the back post. If everyone misses it, it goes in. And that's what's happened.
Such a disappointing fashion for Watford to fall behind. Nuno still doesn't look particularly satisfied, but Tottenham are in front with only 90 seconds of the first half remaining.
I think you'd be pleased because they created virtually nothing, and yet they're 1-0 up.
It's almost their first shot on target, isn't it?
I think it probably is.
Here is Højbjerg, just inside the centre circle for Spurs. Dele Alli forward to Reguilon. Now Watford are going to have to be more expansive, have to come at Tottenham to try and get back in the game. That might just leave gaps for Spurs to exploit. Dele Alli trying to feed it through for Reguilon. Reguilon into the area, crosses in towards Son. Heavy touch from him, goes down. That won't be a penalty. I think Troost-Ekong is actually trying to claim that Son has dived.
Yeah, I think Son, to be fair, I think put his hand up and said no. Troost-Ekong, former Spurs youth team player himself, playing against one of his former clubs. Son breaks into the box, takes the touch past Ekong, goes to ground. No, certainly not. Very little, if any, contact at all. Drags his leg there.
Well, you can see why Troost-Ekong is not happy with the Tottenham goal scorer.
Because Son drags his leg looking to make the contact himself.
Yellow card for Harry Kane, I think, for a foul on halfway. He looks perplexed. The referee Andre Mariner straight to his pocket. Harry Kane having caught Sarr.
Well, he does. It's a foul.
Lunge.
Yeah, it's a foul. It's a free kick. Probably a yellow card. 2 in 2 games from in the Premier League this season.
Doesn't look particularly pleased about it, Harry Kane, but it is a Watford free kick. We're into added on time at the end of the first half, so one last opportunity maybe for Watford to get the ball forward and try and get themselves back on level terms. They will feel harshly done by in terms of the scoreline. It's a woeful free kick by Atibo, and maybe Tottenham can break now. One back by Messina, but he's passed it straight to Dele Alli. Dele Alli over the halfway line. Kane has made a run in the centre. Dele Alli out to the right and Son instead. Son forward to Tanganga. Son with a cross which Atibo brings down on the chest, and as he clears it away, there goes the half-time whistle. Well, Tottenham have toiled for the majority of the opening 45 minutes. In fact, Watford at times looked the better side, looked the more likely to break the deadlock, but a mistake by Daniel Bachmann allowing Son's free kick to fizz straight past him and into the corner right at the end of the first half has given Spurs the advantage. Certainly not a vintage Tottenham performance, but their fans won't be complaining. Half-time at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Son on his 200th Premier League appearance, breaking the deadlock. It is Tottenham 1, Watford 0. You are listening to Premier League Live.
It's the ultimate fusion of football and celebrity. The Best 11 podcast from TalkSport. Johnny Owen and Mark Webster interview the biggest names in popular culture, looking back at the role the beautiful game has played in their lives.
Paul Weller. Could I just start off apologising for last weekend?
Actor Stephen Graham. Good morning, Stevie.
Morning. Sharing their earliest football memories, how they celebrated their team's successes, culminating in their all-time best 11.
Noel Gallagher.
Let's deal with the hangover and let's have it again after that.
The Best 11 podcast. Subscribe now on Acast, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
I'm Tom Rennie. Join me for a weekly podcast, Week in the Tackle, available wherever you get your podcasts. I'm going to be joined by Brian Dunseth, MLS legend, to tackle the biggest stories from the week in soccer.
And the great thing about working with Tom and making Week in the Tackle is we're only going to be covering things we think are worth tackling.
This show is all about passion. What's going to get us riled up? What's going to get you riled up to give us all something to chew on?
We're not here to sit on the fence and tell you the stories of the day. That's what your phone's for. You'll be scrolling through Twitter while listening anyways.
Exactly. I'm scrolling through Twitter right now. I'll save you the trouble. It is all bad news. This show is about tackling all the news of the week, giving our take on why it's interesting and why we think you should know it.
Who should be sacked? Who should be bought? Who should be sold? Who was right? Who was wrong?
Strong opinion, big stories, no agenda.
Week in the Tackle is available on Mondays from wherever you get your podcasts. If it's a big story in soccer, we'll tackle it.
Got an unquenchable thirst for sport? Get up to speed with the day's biggest sports stories with the TalkSport hit. Crammed full of the latest team news, big match previews, and discussing the day's hottest topics.
An improvement week in, week out.
Plus, get all the latest results and full fan reaction to the biggest events in world sport.
It's a wonderful goal!
Satisfy your thirst for sports news with the TalkSport hit. Subscribe now on Acast, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
The Women's Football Weekly Podcast.
With Faye Carruthers. All the action, excitement and drama from across the entire women's game.
Cleared off the line by Steph Horton.
Including the Women's Super League.
Ella Bright is there to tap it in.
The UEFA Women's Champions League.
Lana Cleland striking from outside the penalty area.
And the Euro 2021 qualifiers.
On the edge of the area to Emsley. And Emsley's going to finish it off.
Plus, all the home nations' international friendlies.
Lucy Bronze with the strike from the edge of the penalty area.
World-beating big match conversation.
There's Jodie Taylor.
Subscribe now to the Women's Football Weekly Podcast on Acast, Apple Podcast, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Welcome back to Premier League Live. For those of you enjoying our coverage of Burnley against Leeds from Turf Moor, James Fielden will be back with the second half action in that one. 0-0 there. Spurs leading Watford by a fortuitous goal to nil. Here's the best of the action from both games in the first half. Chance for Harry Kane straight away, who's been bundled over by a Thibaut. Big shout certainly from the Tottenham fans for a penalty. That was clumsy from a Thibaut.
Certainly clumsy from a Thibaut, definitely fortunate to get away with it.
So whips it in towards the near post. It's still alive in there. Oh, prodded goalwards, I think, by Tanganga. And somehow Watford hook it away from inside the 6-yard box.
Melia with a really poor kick out. Burnley come with Barnes. Edge of the box, it's into Chris Wood here. The former Leeds striker's in on goal. Melier saves. It's still in there maybe. And Leeds get it clear. And then a really late challenge. And Michael Oliver is going to go for his pocket here. It's only going to be a yellow card. But tempers starting to flare. Goodmanson trying to curl one here. Easily wide it goes, but that's the first shot Burnley have had today after half an hour. Now a chance for Rafinha. Across goal it goes and out the other side. Great chance for Leeds United. And Rafinha with their clearest opening of the game so far.
Son has curled it in. Well, I'm not sure he was deliberately going for goal, Son, but that is the outcome. And some way to mark his 200th Premier League appearance. Son, from the free kick that maybe shouldn't have been a free kick, was just trying to put it into the danger zone in the 6-yard box, and it sails beyond backman and into the corner of goal. Yeah. Tottenham 1, Watford 0. That was the best of the action from Turf Moor and from the game that Chris Perry and I have been watching at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. It sounds like we've had a bit more entertainment, Chris, than James Fielden, but I mean, the more you see that goal, we've seen numerous replays now. Daniel Batman, the Watford goalkeeper, will be really disappointed.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he sees the ball all the way. It's not the only question mark over it is if someone runs across the front of him and the goalkeeper's waiting for the player to get a touch. There wasn't anyone that made that run across the front. They weren't able to get there. The ball was always beating the Tottenham forwards, and he just had to watch it and catch it, really, and he just didn't move his feet.
And it's dangerous, isn't it, now for Watford, because they set up really to contain Spurs and hit on the counter-attack, but having fallen 1-0 behind, they're going to have to maybe show a bit more ambition in the second half.
I think they will at some stage, certainly. I'm not sure it'll happen immediately after half-time, but certainly when they get to 70 minutes or so, you'd probably think they might have to throw a bit more caution to the wind, play a little bit further up the pitch, commit a few more bodies forward, and it might just leave space for Spurs to hit on the counter-attack.
It's clearly something that Son has been working on in terms of his finishing from outside the penalty area. Not that I'm necessarily sure he meant this one, but 3 of his last 4 goals for Tottenham have come from outside the 18-yard box. That's as many as in his previous 43 strikes for the club.
Yeah, I mean, he's obviously been working on it, cutting inside onto his right foot, looking to bend it into that far corner, making sure he hits the side netting on that far side of the goal. It just gives players a chance to run across the front of keepers. It just puts keepers in 2 minds whether to come, whether to dive, or whether they have to wait.
And in terms of Tottenham, will Nuno still be asking for a bit more in the second half?
I think he'd want them to improve. I think they've got into some really good areas in wide positions, particularly Japhet Tanganga down the right hand side, and the deliveries into the box have lacked a little bit of quality. And if they can improve in that area, then they've got more chance of getting that second goal and probably finishing the game off.
So second half action to come then from the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium and from Turf Moor as well. Then our attentions will be on Molineux. Wolves against Manchester United. Wolves who have a pretty good record against Manchester United since returning to the Premier League. Let's hear from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, who says he's ready for this game after drawing last weekend against Southampton.
Yes, of course. When you have the disappointment of losing 2 points last week, you won a game straight away. Start of the season has been a little bit different than last year. We had loads of games early on. Now we've had a week in between, so we've been training well, and I think the boys are ready. Cristiano has been a legend of this club. He is a legend of this club. He's the greatest player of all time, if you ask me. I was fortunate enough to play with him. I coached him. Such a tremendous human being as well. Everyone who's played with him, I think, have a soft spot for him.
Was Ole Gunnar Solskjaer looking ahead to Manchester United's trip to Wolverhampton Wanderers. Also commenting there on Cristiano Ronaldo. What a day it was on Friday. Looked at one stage as if he could potentially be joining Manchester City, but it is an emotional return to Old Trafford for the Portuguese superstar. Does that crank up the pressure, Chris, on Ole Gunnar Solskjaer to deliver silverware this season? The fact they've paid big money for Jadon Sancho, they've got a World Cup winner, a Champions League winner in Rafael Varane, and as Ole Gunnar Solskjaer himself said there, arguably the best player ever to have played the game in Cristiano Ronaldo.
I think it does. I think it means they have to win something this season. Whether it's the Champions League, whether it's the Premier League, I think one of those two is within their grasp. And you don't bring Cristiano Ronaldo hasn't come back to Manchester United to not win anything. He has come there to win trophies. He thinks now, with Messi going to Paris Saint-Germain, that he can be in a team that is going to be able to challenge for honours at European level and at Premier League level.
What does it mean for the future of Paul Pogba? Because there has been some speculation that it might hasten his departure to Paris Saint-Germain. It could work the opposite way, couldn't it? The signing of Ronaldo, the statement that makes, might just convince him to commit his future to Old Trafford.
I think so. Certainly in the short term, I think you'd want to stay and just see where Cristiano Ronaldo's introduction is going to take Manchester United, how he's going to fit into that. You can imagine, he started the season so well, Paul Pogba, with all the assists he's created already. Him being able to link up with Ronaldo and Bruno Fernandes, it's mouth-watering, isn't it? The prospect of those three linking up. I'd be surprised if he goes this season.
Well, no Ronaldo on show for Manchester United this afternoon, but a realistic chance you would imagine that both Rafael Varane and Jadon Sancho make their first starts for the club. Kick-off at Molineux is in around about 90 minutes time. We'll get the team news in half an hour or so after we brought you the second half of Tottenham against Watford, or for those of you listening to the stream of Burnley against Leeds, we'll have second half coverage from Turf Moor as well. You are listening to Premier League Live.
Got an unquenchable thirst for sport? Get up to speed with the day's biggest sports stories with the Talk Sport Hit. Crammed full of the latest team news, big match previews, and discussing the day's hottest topics.
An improvement week in, week out.
Plus, get all the latest results and full fan reaction to the biggest events in world sport.
It's a wonderful goal!
Satisfy your thirst for sports news with the Talk Sport Hit. Subscribe now on Acast, Apple Podcast, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Talk Sport. 20 years old and still not able to make a cup of tea.
That's a great starting point, I think. Excuse me.
With bitter experience comes great responsibility.
Let's go to Cumbria and Fraser. Fraser, good morning. Hello. Fraser, get out of that lane.
The nation's first and best commercial sports radio station.
Live, lubricated and legendary.
20 years of Talk Sport.
Previously on White and Jordan.
This is rewarding mediocrity. No, it's not. It's the exact opposite.
Two towering giants of sports media.
He's got COVID-19. He's got Newcastle wanting to sue him. He's got broadcasters pulling money out of deals left, right and centre. You wouldn't want to fly with this guy, would you?
Jim White and Simon Jordan.
Double trouble, daily drama and searing debate.
Continues weekday mornings from 10 on Talk Sport.
20 years of Talk Sport.
Gentlemen, good evening.
There's no such thing as an overnight success.
Accrington Stanley 4, titanium plasmatronic death droids from the future 0.
Excess.
I wasn't getting up, I was just getting in.
Excitement.
Excuse me,
and extremely strong opinions.
I spend my life covering the big game at the big level.
On DAB, medium wave, and on your smart speaker. 20 years of Talk Sport.
Previously on White and Jordan.
If you haven't bought, owned, managed, sold a player, managed a football club, sat in a boardroom, sat in a dressing room, what exactly do you know?
100% engagement.
The Football League is a league which is a busted flush. You're obsessed with that subject, you do know that.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. High Octane Radio. Continues weekday mornings from 10 on Talk Sport.
The Women's Football Weekly Podcast.
With Faye Carruthers. All the action, excitement and drama from across the entire women's game.
Cleared off the line by Steph Horton.
Including the Women's Super League.
Ellen White is there to tap it in.
The UEFA Women's Champions League.
Lana Cleland striking from outside the penalty area.
And the Euro 2021 qualifiers.
On the edge of the area to Emsley. And Emsley's going to finish it off.
Plus, all the home nations international friendlies.
Lucy Bronze with the strike from the edge of the penalty area.
World-beating big match conversation.
There's Jodie Taylor.
Subscribe now to the Women's Football Weekly Podcast on Acast, Apple Podcast, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
You are listening to TalkSport's coverage of Tottenham Hotspur against Watford from the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. I'm your host, Alex Crook. Alongside me is the former Tottenham defender, Chris Perry. This is Premier League Live, where Tottenham lead Watford by a fortuitous Son goal to 0. The Spurs players, the first to re-emerge from the dressing room. Nuno Espirito Santo sat pensive in the dugout as his players go through a pre-second half warm-up. What will Nuno have been saying to his troops, Chris Perry, during the interval?
I think he'll have been just reiterating the fact that, like, the second half of that first half was good in terms of dominating the ball and creating lots and lots of territory, but they need to be better when they get into the final third. They need a bit more detail on their passes. Certainly the crossing needs to be of better quality, and they just need to be aware of the pace of Emmanuel Dennis and Ismail Assar on the counter-attack.
As it stands, Tottenham top of the Premier League table with a maximum 9 points from their first 3 matches. The only 100% record left after West Ham were held at home by Crystal Palace yesterday, and Chelsea and Liverpool played out an entertaining 1-1 draw at Anfield. Still waiting for the Watford players to come back out. I mean, clearly whatever message Nuno did send out was short and sharp. The Spurs players have been out there a good 2 minutes or so already, Chris.
Yeah, I've never seen I've seen teams come out and do a few little short sprints when they come back onto the pitch, but I've never seen a team come out and literally do 2 or 3 minutes of an actual warm-up, stretches and stuff like that as well.
Well, the Watford players, in contrast, in no hurry, it seems, to get back out there. Now boos from the Spurs fans. There are 5 or 6 Watford players at the moment gathered at the mouth of the tunnel. Finally their teammates are ready to join them. Daniel Batman, the last to reappear, no doubt holding his own personal inquest into how that Son free kick whizzed straight past him and into the core of the net. Daniel Batman, the Watford number 1 this season, made his Premier League debut in that win against Aston Villa. Ben Foster now in the veteran stage of his career, even on the bench this afternoon. Robert Elliott filling that backup goalkeeping role. Finally, we are ready to begin the second half. Tottenham in their white shirts, navy shorts and navy socks, shooting from left to right, get us underway. Watford in the yellow jerseys, black shorts and yellow socks, attacking the goal away to our left where the Watford fans are gathered. Back underway as well, just about at Turf Moor. Burnley 0, Leeds 0, as you were hearing during the half-time interval. And still to come, Wolves against Manchester United, rounding off the last set of fixtures before the international break. Manchester United looking to keep pace with the likes of Liverpool and Chelsea, and indeed Spurs. Of course, they made a really good start to last season, Tottenham, and fell away pretty rapidly. So their supporters as well, being cautiously optimistic, won't be getting too carried away. Here is Højbjerg in the right back position momentarily. Finds Eric Dyer halfway inside the Watford half of the field. He helps it forward to Davinson Sanchez, who angles it out to the left hand side, looking for Bergwijn. It wasn't a great header away by Cathcart, collected by Steven Bergwijn, the former Eredivisie player. And Dele Alli back into the centre circle, and Davinson Sanchez. Tottenham dominating possession early in this second half, leading by a goal to 0 against a Watford side who've won only 3 of their last 18 in the Premier League, dating back to January of last year, and 2 of their last 20, Chris, away from home.
Free kick given away by Troost-Ekong.
That free kick taken quickly by Spurs. Bergwijn brings it under control and then crosses towards Kane at the far post. Messina does well. Son nods it down. Dele Alli trying to control it on the chest. Get it clear by Cathcart and then hooked away by Ismail Assar. Spurs still to concede a goal in the Premier League this season. That run remains. They will be leaving here with another 3 points safely stowed away. Son claiming handball. That was definitely a handball by Dele Alli as he charged down the attempted clearance by Peter Atibo. The ricochet falls into the arms of Batman, so no need for Andre Mariner to stop the play. Referees have been instructed by the PGMOL, the governing body of officials, to let games flow this season. Free kicks that would previously have been given for minimal contact should no longer be awarded, although, Chris, you still feel that free kick converted by Son at the end of the first half to give Spurs this 1-0 lead maybe falls into that category.
Yeah, I don't think it was a free kick. I think that Bergwijn just threw himself into Craig Cathcart, had nowhere else to go. The ball was going out for a goal kick, and the referees blinded as Craig Cathcart, but certainly will give them more in attack down that side of the pitch. Danny Rose as well on the bench,
and
Kabasele would fit in at centre back, but I think he's coming off here. Cathcart doesn't look good for him, does it?
No, the physio just looking anxiously over to the Watford bench, and Cathcart already has passed on the captain's armband to Troost-Ekong, so his afternoon is coming to a premature end, and it looks like it will be Ngakia summoned to replace him.
Former West Ham player, he would love to get one over Spurs here.
They wanted to keep him at West Ham, didn't they? But he turned down a new contract there to drop into the Championships. It was a strange decision at the time. He will be coming on very shortly. It's only a forced change being made by Xisco Munoz. We've played 5 minutes in the second half. It remains Tottenham 1, Watford 0. Ngakia just man, as Chris has already alluded to. Ngakia poking the ball out for a throw as Dele Alli was threatening to make progress down the left-hand side. Kevin Hatchard and David Connolly will be in place for Wolves against Manchester United very shortly. Team news will be landing in around about 20 minutes from Molineux. Fascinating to see if Varane and Sancho start for Manchester United. Ronaldo, an interested spectator from Lisbon, where he was just tying up the formalities of his return to Old Trafford before reporting for international duty with Portugal. Kuczka plays it back towards the Watford penalty area. The red-shirted backman plays it out to Sierra Alta. Just need a bit more urgency, Watford, I think. Similar to when they fell behind at Brighton, they never really looked like getting back into that game.
I'd like to see them be a little bit more direct, play at a higher tempo, as you say. I think there will be a point in the game when they do that. It's just going to be interesting to see when Xisco thinks that is.
Well, maybe a chance here. Sarr into the penalty area, pulls it back for Kuczka. Gets right underneath the shot, side foots it high over the crossbar. That was an opportunity.
Yeah, it was. It was a hard one because it's fired at pace and it bounces up at an awkward height, but good turn from Sarr. Cuts it back to the edge of the box, but it just bounces up awkwardly for Kuczka to control. Very, very difficult one to control, and gets underneath it and over the crossbar. I was going to say it'd be interesting to see when Xisco unleashes the dragon, but there you go.
Very good. Edinson Cavani, by the way, on one of the monitors behind me, has been pictured arriving at Molineux, so maybe the current number 7 will get the chance to throw down the gauntlet to someone who no doubt wants his jersey, in Ronaldo. There is a situation, actually, Chris, where Ronaldo could be allowed to wear number 7 in the Champions League and not in the Premier League.
Oh, maybe they'll make a compromise with that then. What number did he wear when he first came?
Oh, now you're asking.
I thought you'd know that, being a big Man United fan.
Do you know what? I think he got the number 7 pretty much straight away.
I don't know. I don't think he did.
Maybe our esteemed producer can find out. I think he might have done. There you go, I'm going to stick my neck on the line. Here is Sissoko bursting into the penalty area, pulling it back for King.
Chance.
And for Sarr, who gets a shot in from inside the 6-yard box. It deflects off a Tottenham player into the arms of the goalkeeper, Hugo Lloris. They're appealing for a penalty, Watford. And Sissoko is going to be booked here for a foul in trying to retrieve possession. That was an opportunity.
It's a real opportunity for Sarr on the turn at the near post. Sissoko's unfortunate to get a yellow card. He didn't really do a lot wrong. Just trying to win the ball, just clips his heel. I don't think Skip's not going anywhere really, is he? But this is the opportunity. Sissoko breaks into the box, gets to the byline, cuts it back. Sarr takes it off the foot of Josh King, hits it on the turn. He's appealing for handball. Certainly didn't hit anyone's hand. Davinson Sanchez, good block with the underneath of his thigh.
I can tell you, Chris, by the way, Ronaldo did wear the number 7 shirt upon his arrival at Old Trafford.
Did he? Well, I didn't get close enough to see the back of him. I didn't let him turn when he played for Charlton against me, I can tell you that.
Messina volleys it clear for Watford, who will be encouraged with that opportunity that they carved a few moments ago. Still 0-0 between Burnley and Leeds United, by the way. Not a scoreline you often attach to a Marcelo Bielsa side.
77, is that available for Manchester United?
That could be another compromise, couldn't it? I think there is a rule, because United have already submitted their squad list for the season. if Cavani did want to give the shirt up, which would appear unlikely, they would have to get special dispensation from the Premier League anyway.
I would think the Premier League will do anything to make sure Ronaldo's happy.
Story that already has been Ronaldo's return. Here is Højbjerg hassling and harrying in midfield, away from Kucka down the right hand side into Son, the Tottenham goal scorer. They lead 1-0 here on Premier League Live. Højbjerg gets it back from Son in the right wing position. No thought in his mind that he'll put a cross into the area, pulls it back for Dele Alli, his centre over the head of Kane, headed behind by Ngakia for a fourth Tottenham corner of the afternoon.
Yeah, it was safe defending, wasn't it, from Ngakia? Probably had a little bit more time than he thought, but didn't want to take the chance. Heads it behind for a corner. Harry Kane in the box again. Sanchez, Dyer, Tanganga, Dele Alli. It's got some good height in there, Spurs.
Warm ovation for the goal scorer as he trots across to take this corner. 12 minutes gone in the second half. The second goal for Tottenham, and you feel it would be game over. Again, the referee, Andre Mariner, is just indicating that he spotted some kind of indiscretion between Sanchez and the goalkeeper Bachmann. He isn't the biggest goalkeeper, is he?
He doesn't seem to be, does he? I don't know how tall Sierralta is, but he just hasn't got presence, maybe. He might be tall, but he hasn't got presence. He's not wide, he's not big.
And that's why Sierralta is so keen to keep Sanchez away from the Watford stopper. Towards the near post. Oh, that would have been a great goal from Sanchez. Little back heel at the near post over the crossbar. Good run.
He just runs in front of Josh King. Looks the little flick with the back heel towards goal. Improvises well. Just gets underneath it and over the crossbar.
Half a chance for Davinson Sanchez. As Watford take the goal kick short to Troost-Ekong, now wearing the captain's armband in the absence of the injured Cathcart, cleverly on the bench. Here's Messina in the left back position. Clips it towards the halfway line. Josh King trying to keep it alive, and Kucka wins the header but can only divert the ball back to Skip. Kane just hasn't quite looked sharp today at times, and he was easily shrugged off it there by Troost-Ekong. And here comes Sissoko towards the edge of the Tottenham penalty area, looking for King. Good header away by Eric Dyer, and then brought down on the chest by Bergwijn for Tottenham.
It's opening up again, a bit like it did in the first half.
It was a tentative start to the second half, but as Chris has said there, gaps beginning to appear. Kane coming very deep again and finding Dele Alli in midfield for Spurs. Here is Bergwijn on the left. It's been dispossessed by Ngakia.
It's a foul.
Tottenham throw.
It's a foul, I think. Yeah, just a little bit too eager to win the ball there, Jeremy Ngakia. I think Bergwijn fancies playing against Ngakia a little bit more than Cathcart.
Son will take the free kick. 14 minutes gone in the second half. Won't contemplate a shot here. I don't think it's 7 or 8 yards in from the left touchline, but a long way shy of the penalty area. Kane jostling for position. Son floats it towards the number 10, but it's cleared by Sierralta. Højbjerg scoops it back into the area, picks out Dele Alli, who's onside. And now Son again will get a shot away from the edge of the box, straight into the arms of Bachmann.
Looking for the same shot as the goal, wasn't he? Looking to bend it to the far post, doesn't start it out wide enough. This one's really comfortable, straight into the arms of Bachmann.
Here comes Sarr towards the Spurs 18-yard box. Again, shouts for handball from the Watford fans, but it hit the backside of Reguilon and collected now by Kane just inside his own half. And here's Dele Alli. Skips away from a couple of challenges, finds Kane. Well played by Dele Alli. And Kane into midfield and Højbjerg. Spurs hunting a second. Kane nonchalantly flicks it out the right-hand side, and Tanganga. Now Højbjerg for Spurs. Forward to Ollie Skip. Watford again have got everybody back inside their own half. Tottenham trying to pick their way through with Skip. Back to Davinson Sanchez. And now Dyer comes over the halfway line for Tottenham. Out to the left and Reguilon. Bergwijn dispossessed by Ngakia. And maybe Watford can counter with Sarr. Pokes it away from Dele Alli. Goes down. Will be a free kick.
I think Dele Alli knew exactly what he was doing there. He was always going to make it difficult. I think the referee's done well there, because I think Dele Alli was always going to try and stop him.
It's a third Tottenham booking. Dele Alli joining Son. Oh, sorry, second Tottenham booking. Dele Alli joining Harry Kane in the referee's notepad. I do think Sarr made the most of the challenge.
Absolutely, he did, but Dele Alli, I think, was never going to let him go past without getting some sort of contact on him.
Ismaila Sarr has been certainly mentioned in the corridors of power at both Liverpool and Manchester United. Watford did really well to keep hold of him in the Championship.
Is he that good? Is he better than Sam Maximin at Newcastle?
I think he stays fitter than Sam Maximin.
Yeah, potentially. I think they're both very similar. I think Sam Maximin's probably a little bit more elusive almost.
And he does disappear from games, Sarr, as well. He hasn't really made much of an imprint on this one so far.
Absolutely. Well, that's because he's out on the... I think Sam Maximin plays a little bit more central and often gets a little bit more... drifts inside to get involved more. And maybe that's what Sarr needs to do, because he's on the fringe of the game, as you say, for periods of it.
Burnley have just hit the crossbar in the game at Turf Moor, 0-0 with 61 on the clock there. Clarets close to breaking the deadlock, but they have broken the deadlock. A goalkeeper mistake, and Chris Wood is wheeling away in celebration. So Leeds behind at Turf Moor. Watford trailing here by a 0-0. Dennis for Watford. His cross is immediately charged down by Tanganga. They do have a corner. Only their second of the game, Chris.
Yeah, but it was a more direct ball, wasn't it? A longer ball forward into the feet, trying to put the ball in the box. Tanganga gets the block, and they've got a corner. They've got a chance to get Sierralta or Troost-Ekong. Kuchka in the box. Can they get a good delivery?
63 on the clock. Messina with the corner, puts both arms in the air. On the left-hand side. Not a bad ball in, but nobody in yellow really attacked it. Dele Alli heads it clear. Troost-Ekong will keep it alive and recycles possession out to Sarr, who jinks away from Tanganga. He's into the penalty area, but nowhere really to go. Cuts it back to Sissoko, who gets right underneath his shot, high over the bar, and it will be a goal kick.
Yeah, Moussa Sissoko would love that one back, wouldn't he? Lovely little jinking run from Sarr, gets into the penalty area, cuts it back to Sissoko just outside the box, on his right foot, under pressure from Oliver Skipp. Knows he has to get the pace on the ball and the whip on the ball himself, gets underneath it, and it goes probably into the second tier at the stadium.
What a ground this is, by the way.
It's a beautiful stadium, isn't it? It is an amazing stadium. I was fortunate enough to play in the second ever game there, not quite full capacity, 30,000 in there against Inter Milan legends. It was an absolute pleasure of mine to be able to play there.
Tottenham making it feel like home this season. A 1-0 win already against Manchester City on this ground. Are they going to follow it up with 3 more points here against Watford this afternoon? They lead by a 0-0. Watford are readying Hernandez to come on. Cucho Hernandez, one of their goal scorers against Aston Villa on the opening day. As Bergwijn finds Son on the edge of the area. Kane in the centre. Son's cross well held by Bachmann. Kane waiting to pounce.
That was a better delivery though, wasn't it? In behind the defenders, in between the goalkeeper. The goalkeeper made a really positive decision to come and claim it, but that's where Harry Kane wants the ball.
We've been sent an incredible picture, by the way, on our Twitter page. It appears to show Arsenal fans in Port Harcourt, Nigeria, in church this morning, all decked out in their red and white jerseys, praying for the transformation of Arsenal's fortunes. They might need a bit more than divine intervention.
Got to do something though, haven't they?
Here comes the Watford change, and Josh King looks a bit frustrated as he makes his way back to the dugout. And Cucho Hernandez comes on. I wonder if that will be a slight change of shape, maybe, to try and get Sarr playing in a more central position. We'll find out. Hernandez, who scored 53 seconds into his Premier League debut, the Colombian. He's been at Watford actually for the last 5 years, but spent 4 seasons out on loan. Certainly bided his time for a crack in the first team. Tottenham are also about to bring on Lucas Moura, maybe for Son, who was just holding his ribs after a challenge with Kutska a moment or two ago.
I think it'll be for Bergwijn personally. I think that would be the change to make.
There is Sarr. Maybe that's a reflection from Nuno Espirito Santo that Watford are just beginning to apply some pressure.
Emmanuel Dennis has gone to play centre forward. Cucho Hernandez is playing off the left hand side.
Dennis occupied that central role, didn't he, against Aston Villa to good effect on day one.
Absolutely.
Tottenham won't feel comfortable with this 1-0 lead. Here's a Thibaut, crosses into the area. Oh, Cucho almost making an instant impression again. He got something on the header, but not firm enough contact. Here's Dennis now. Sarr slips and allows Højbjerg to clear it away for Tottenham, but they're certainly not in control here, Spurs, at the moment.
Just having a period where they've lost a bit of shape. Maybe that's what the substitution's going to do, give them a bit more energy to press a little bit higher.
Son, powerful burst into the Watford half, skips over the challenge from Messina, rolls it forward to Harry Kane. Kane with a cut back to Dele Alli. Oh, that would have been a super goal, but Dele Alli swings his shot wide and slaps the advertising hoardings in frustration behind the goal.
Yeah, it was a brilliant counter-attack, wasn't it? Superb. Son wins the ball on the halfway line, goes past Sierralta, then drives straight at the defender, straightens him up. Kane, you think he's going to shoot, just picks out the run of Dele Alli, arriving late into the box from 12 yards out. He tries to pass it into the bottom right-hand corner and just gets it wide of the post.
Well, you were right about the change. Steven Bergwijn making way for Lucas Moura. Hasn't scored a goal, Lucas Moura, since February. Of course, best remembered by Tottenham fans for that incredible hat-trick in Amsterdam that took them to the Champions League final.
What that's done is put Son out on the left, which is where I think he's best when he plays with Harry Kane.
Yeah, Lucas Moura coming across to the right-hand side. 68 played here. Spurs 1, Watford 0. Burnley leading Leeds by goals on Turf Moor. Chris Wood with the opener there, but it wasn't great goalkeeping from Meslier. And that will be only 1 point from 3 games for Leeds at the start of the season. Here's Højbjerg looking for Kane in the centre. Kane trying to time his run.
It's a corner.
Kutska pokes it behind for a corner. Spurs fans behind the goal asking for a penalty. I think Kane was actually just stopping his run to stay on side, and that allowed Kutska to get back and make the tackle.
Yeah, the ball just didn't quite have the pace on it to run through for Kane, did it? And Kutska just gets a toe on the ball, puts it behind for the corner, and then Kane comes across him. There's a little tangle of legs, but certainly not a penalty.
A corner will be taken on this near side. Spurs leading by a goal to 0. And the cross will be played in by Son. Cleared away as far as Dele Alli. And out for a Tottenham throw with 20 minutes remaining. Dele Alli, who had a very frustrating season under Jose Mourinho last year, making his 150th Premier League start this afternoon. Good noise now inside the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. These Spurs fans enjoying their afternoon as Kane turns and releases Son down the left, away from Ngaki. Son, too much pace on the pass, but he keeps it in play and finds Reguilon. Now Skip urged forward towards the penalty area. He was looking, I think, for Kane. Pass overhit And out for a goal kick for Watford.
It's a nice idea, wasn't it? Tom Cleverley looks like he's coming on for Watford below us.
I was slightly surprised to see him not in the starting lineup, Chris, to be honest. Player who made the most tackles in the Championship last year, 13 times capped by England, lots of experience in the Premier League. He is coming on for Moussa Sissoko. He gets a decent reaction from the Tottenham fans.
Yeah, he should do. Should get a good reception from the Spurs fans. Cleverley, I think, gives them a little bit more finesse in that midfield area, certainly.
He had a particularly difficult afternoon, actually, last week against Yves Bissouma. Said afterwards that he hasn't faced an opponent as formidable as him for some time.
He's a good player, Yves Bissouma, isn't he? I was surprised he stayed at Brighton this transfer window, actually. Thought there might be a few clubs in for him.
Yeah, has been linked with Liverpool, but as I understand it, no firm offer. Could change between now and Tuesday night. Here's Lucas Moura into the penalty area, driving towards the byline and actually going for goal, right-footed from a tight angle, and Bachmann this time got his positioning spot on and palms it behind for a corner.
It's poor delivery again, though, wasn't it, from Bachmann, playing out from the back. Lucas Moura takes on it. Etebo forced wide, fires the shot across goal. It's going well wide of goal. Bachmann doesn't really need to save it, but makes an attempt and makes a bit of a mess of it, but puts it behind for the corner.
And that corner will be taken by Son from the left-hand side. Tottenham looking for a game-clinching second here. Son with the delivery. Bachmann gets good distance on the punch. Højbjerg tries to recycle it back out that left-hand side, and Son, who does well in the end to keep it in play and hook it back to Reguilon. Here is Davinson Sanchez, who stay forward from the set piece, and then Dele Alli, surely fouled by Kutska, and a free kick again within shooting range, perhaps.
It's just on the edge of shooting range, isn't it? It's a clumsy one, this one. Just gets his legs tangled in between Dele Alli's. Juraj Kucka gives away the free kick in a dangerous area.
Højbjerg stands over the free kick. There will be a two-man Watford wall.
Yeah, I don't think he's shooting. Højbjerg, he might do. It's quite central, isn't it? Only a two-man wall.
He's going for goal, low, deflected, and that made it awkward for Bachmann, who springs himself down low to his left and turns it behind.
Yeah, I think without the deflection, this was just going comfortably into Bachmann's hands. Deflection just makes him have to quickly move to his left-hand side, get across goal. It's a good save in the end.
7 corners now for Spurs. 17 minutes to hold on to this 1-0 lead, or maybe even add to it. Corner again to be taken by their goal scorer Son. Dyer looking to try and get on the end of it. Kane there as well. It was, I think, by Dyer, but headed away by Sierra out to this right hand side where Son was still loitering. And Højbjerg trying to feed it through for Tanganga on the slide. Sarr deflects the ball behind for a throw. Team news is in at Molineux. Rafael Varane and Jadon Sancho both start for Manchester United. That's the big news. Anthony Martial and Victor Lindelof drop to the bench. Matic also makes way as Daniel James returns to what looks like a very attacking Manchester United lineup. Game to come from Molineux at 4:30, around about an hour's time here in the UK. Adama Traore starting for Wolves. He's a player that is on the radar of Tottenham between now and Tuesday.
He'd fit in here, wouldn't he? You think the way they play the three up front, the pace on the counter-attack.
£40 million the fee though, Chris.
It's a lot of money, isn't it?
It is for someone who doesn't really produce the numbers in terms of assists and goals scored that maybe someone with his attributes should be. Here is Son, forward to Reguilon. Reguilon has been penalised for a foul, and Gaki Kane has put the ball into an empty net, but the whistle had already gone.
I thought we were not giving ones that were very light contact. Oh, I think he's gone down easy there. And Gaki up.
I think the Tottenham fans behind the goal were agreeing with you in no uncertain terms, making their feelings clear to referee Andre Marinat.
Spurs got away with one in the first half and it led to the goal, so can't complain too much.
Backman takes the free kick, launches it forward into the Spurs half, headed away by Sanchez. One back well by Dennis, and then cleverly trying to switch it out to this right-hand side of Hernandez, who's content to let it trickle out for a throw, having deflected off a Tottenham player. It will be Messina to take that throw from the near side to left. 1-0 Spurs lead. 1-0 Burnley ahead against Leeds at Turf Moor.
What odds you'd have got on Spurs potentially winning their first 3 games of the season. 1-0, 3 clean sheets, only 3 goals.
It's not quite the attractive brand of football they were looking for after dispensing with the services of Jose Mourinho, is it?
No, but then kind of what you've come to expect from Nuno Espirito Santo's sides, I think.
Well, he was about 17th on their list of managerial targets.
True.
In fairness. Sarr with a good delivery over the head of Hernandez, who was just muscled out of it by Tanganga. Still carrying a threat here though, Watford. Messina infield to Atibo. And here is Sierralta. Still good noise inside the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. And what a massive difference it makes having a full stadium to commentate in front of, for these players to play in front of as well. What have you made of Dele Alli's performance, Chris, this afternoon?
Very hard working. Not quite had the spark that he used to have. Certainly doesn't seem to, in this system anyway, be able to make those late runs into the box. We saw the one from Harry Kane. He'd have scored that 3 or 4 years ago. I think he's not quite there yet. He missed a lot of football over the last couple of seasons, and he's getting back to where he was.
Ryan Mason, who of course ended last season as Tottenham's caretaker manager, is watching on from the director's seat. There's Højbjerg trying to play it forward to Harry Kane. And it wasn't a great pass by Højbjerg, but Kane wasn't really on his toes. To me, he's still lacking a bit of match sharpness.
But he will be. He's had one start, hasn't he? You know, after the European Championships, one start. He didn't look particularly fit in the European Championships for a lot of it, did he? Well, came to life in the box, but at times looked a little bit pedestrian in that.
Mind you, I remember we were saying similar things at the start of last season. He got 30 odd goals.
He'll score goals in this league. We know that.
Here is cleverly down the left-hand side, forward to Hernandez. In the light blue boots, he's dispossessed by Højbjerg. And Lucas Moura's released Højbjerg down the right. Hurdles what would have been a foul by Hernandez. And then just slows the game down, Højbjerg. Do let that burst of pace at times, Tottenham. And having gone back to the halfway line, everybody in yellow shirts for Watford is now back inside their own half. Here is Skip in midfield for Tottenham, playing it back to Dyer. 11 minutes plus stoppage time, all that separates Spurs from maintaining their 100% start to the season.
I do feel there's a confidence about Spurs that they're not forcing it to go long, looking desperately to get the second, thinking we need 2 goals to win the game. There's a confidence that they can hold on to this lead.
It was a bit cheap from Son though, straying into an offside position.
Yeah, needs to look across the line there, doesn't he? Can see across the whole line as that ball's hit on the diagonal. Needs to make sure he stays on side. Lazy really from him.
He's only halfway inside Watford territory. Watford keeping a very high line, doing its job there. Here's Skip just inside his own half, forward to Son. Loves running with the ball at his feet, turns away from Kucka and then floats it delightfully out to the right hand side of Japhet Tanganga. Tanganga plucks the ball from the sky neatly enough. Højbjerg forward to Lucas Moura. Only Kane in the centre at the moment. Plenty of yellow shirts again blocking Tottenham's road to their star striker. Here's Højbjerg though, away from Hernandez into Lucas Moura. Son has raced on the blind side of Messina, tries to cut the cross back for Kane. Cleverly claims he was caught by Lucas Moura. Referee disagrees and Watford just about smuggle it clear. And then Ismaila Sarr runs into trouble and actually is fortunate, I think, to win the free kick. Foul by Dele Alli, and they've taken it rapidly, Watford. Here's Hernandez. Challenged by Sanchez now for a throw.
Watford just trying to lift the pace, aren't they? Trying to lift the tempo, getting themselves back into this game. Sarr looked to overrun it. Højbjerg nicked in, and then Dele Alli with a lazy right leg. Sarr goes over it, wins the free kick. They take it quickly, get themselves up the pitch.
Here's Messina down by the left corner flag, linking up with Hernandez. Tries to drill in the cross, blocked by Lucas Moura, and Watford have a corner. Big 10 minutes to go here.
It was a good delivery from Kučka last time, but no one in the area where the ball went.
Watford's third corner. Cleverly with the ball into the area. I think the referee will have to stop play here because there's a head injury.
It's a brilliant header from Oliver Skipp. It really is brave, and someone comes crashing into the back of him. Might have been Emmanuel Dennis, who's just checking to make sure he's okay, but
he's got a bit of white paint in his hair now, where he landed
on the 6-yard box. It's a brilliant header, and it's Kučka who just comes into the back of him for the free kick.
Yeah, pretty easy decision for Andre Mariner. Another impressive performance in midfield from Oliver Skipp today.
He goes under the radar a little bit because he does the things that aren't really noticeable, but he's always in the right position defensively. He keeps the ball 95 to 100% of the time. He's a really, really good player.
Lucas Moura jostling with Cleverly, who tries to clear it towards the halfway line, volleyed in the direction of the Watford penalty area by Højbjerg, and Sierra Alta heads it back to Backman. Bowls it out to Troost-Ekong, who will come forward for Watford. 82 on the clock, 1-0 Tottenham lead. Same scoreline at Turf Moor, Burnley 1, Leeds 0. Not long to go in that game either. And then Wolves against Manchester United coming up almost as soon as we're finished here. On this busy Sunday afternoon in the Premier League. Just how we like it. Messina forward towards Dennis. It's headed away by Sanchez, and Sanchez was caught by Dennis as a Tottenham free kick and a chance to run down a few more seconds.
I think they're fortunate there, Spurs, because the referee plays advantage. The advantage is here for Dele Alli to hook it on down the line, and just because Dele Alli makes a bad pass, Andre Mariner gives the free kick. I think very fortunate.
Here is Sanchez forward to Bergwijn on the right hand side. Bergwijn in turn finds Lucas Moura, who looks to have the beating of Messina. He's into the penalty area. Kane at the far post, waiting for a tap in. It's a brilliant piece of defending by Troost-Ekong, sliding in to divert it away from the Tottenham striker.
That's what Harry Kane's been looking for. It's Lucas Moura. Great turn, change of pace to go past Adam Messina, who has a little push, fires it across the 6-yard box. If Troost-Ekong doesn't get a foot on it, it's a goal for Harry Kane.
Simple as that. Short corner. Regulon with the delivery. They're queuing up in the middle. Kane on the volley. Great save, Backman. For a crowded penalty area, manages to beat the ball clear. Watford clinging on in this one. And Harry Kane so close there to getting off the mark in the Premier League this season.
Yeah, it just fell to him, didn't it? Beautifully, just sat up to hit on the volley, struck it well with his right foot into the ground, and it's a brilliant save from Daniel Backman. Really, really good save.
Kučka out to the right for Watford.
And to get a boot on the ball.
Free kick for Watford. Just watching a replay of the save from Backman to deny Kane. Dyer nodded it down in the area. Kane volleyed it goalwards. It was a nice height for the keeper, but he did really well, the Austrian.
Reacted well, didn't he?
Cleverly over the free kick. He's just going to chip this into the penalty area. Troost-Ekong is up. Kane heads it away, only as far as Kučka, who didn't really put it back into a dangerous area, and then Højbjerg is bringing it clear. He's gone down under a challenge from Cleverly, but no foul, says the referee.
Yeah, well, Højbjerg takes the ball past him and then throws himself in the air. There's actually no contact.
he's refereed the game reasonably well on.
I think he has, absolutely. I like this new rule where when there's little contact, the game flows. It seems to make it a better game and flow a lot better than it has done over the last couple of seasons.
Jurgen Klopp doesn't agree. Says it endangers the players. Here's Cleverley. We want to see some contact. It's a contact sport after all. Equaliser for Leeds. Patrick Bamford makes it Burnley 1, Leeds 1, with only 4 minutes remaining at Turf Moor. Are we going to get late drama here?
Well, Watford are trying to force things, aren't they?
Still haven't really tested Lloris, though, have they?
I don't remember Lloris touching it in the second half.
It's been a good defensive performance from Nuno's men. Messina forward.
Can you even remember Hugo Lloris touching the ball in the whole second half? I seriously can't.
I'm not convinced he has, actually. And that's a pretty damning indictment from the team who are chasing. You're going to see a substitution here, by the way, and it will be a popular change as far as Tottenham are concerned. Not because Son, their goal scorer, is going off, but because their summer signing, Brian Hill, is coming on. The 20-year-old Spaniard signed from Sevilla. Actually a silver medalist at the Olympics in Tokyo.
Talented
I was going to say, what do you know about him, Chris?
Talented young winger, left winger, likes to play on the left. Technically very, very good. I think he'll be a good player. Might take him a little while to settle. Brian on the back of his shirt, not Hill.
That'll do for us.
Yep.
2 minutes to go. Tottenham 1, Watford 0. 1-1 at Turf Moor between Burnley and Leeds, and then all eyes on Molineux. Wolves against Manchester United. I mean, based on what we were saying there, Chris, about Hugo Lloris's lack of activity, probably a Tottenham win is a fair result.
I think so, yeah. Watford haven't done enough, have they, really? They haven't been out.
Match here against West Ham. Lanzini at the death as West Ham came from 3 goals down to snatch a point. Newcastle got a late penalty, didn't they, early in the season as well, to draw 1-1, so these Spurs fans won't be taking anything for granted, even with only 90 seconds plus stoppage time to play. Here's Kutska holding off the attentions of Højbjerg and then chipping the ball out to the right hand side for Ngakia. He's away from Hill and he's crossing towards the far post, and Hernandez went for the acrobatic overhead kick when maybe he should have just knocked it down inside the penalty area. He completely missed his kick.
Yeah, I think he probably should have just headed it back across goal, shouldn't he? Went for the spectacular, didn't make contact. Decent ball from Ngakia to the back post.
I mean, it would have been a sensational goal if he had made clean contact, but it's one of the most difficult skills, isn't it?
Certainly one of the most difficult skills, not one that I was able to pull off many times.
Did you attempt it much?
Not often.
Messina's cross towards the far post. Oh, Lloris has flapped at it. Oh, a generous free kick for the Tottenham goalkeeper. Cleverly adjudged to have fouled him.
Just jumping for the ball, isn't he, Tom Cleverly? Hugo Lloris comes, has it in both hands, just drops it, really. Overprotected goalkeeper still.
Xisco Munoz far from happy with that decision. We're about to find out how many added minutes there will be at the end of the game. Time running out for Watford. Tottenham closing in on top spot, heading into the first international break. They'd have taken that before a ball was kicked, especially with Manchester City, their opening day opponents.
Perfect start for Nuno, really.
Troost-Ekong, long punt upfield, cleared by Dyer as we move into 4 added minutes at the end of the 90. Messina out for left and Hernandez. Watford will still believe they can create one last big goal scoring opportunity. Dennis picking it up just inside the Spurs half, but he's shown too much of it to Højbjerg. Xisco Munoz wants a foul from Lucas Moura, not given, but well won back by Thibaut on halfway, and he chips it forward, looking to use the pace of Ismail Assar.
Offside, I think.
Offside flag up against Sarr, and that will be so frustrating for Watford, because it will just allow Tottenham to waste a bit of time.
I'm not sure he's as effective when he comes into the middle of the pitch. Just goes early, doesn't he? He's
it's very
tight,
marginal,
isn't it? Very marginal. Would have been interesting had the flag not gone up.
He's scored 6 goals in his last 9 games either side of the summer, Ismaila Sarr, but again he's been on the periphery too much this afternoon. That could be a problem for Watford this season. When he's not at it, they might struggle to find some creative spark.
Goals are going to be a problem for Watford.
Staring down the barrel of back-to-back away defeats without really troubling either opposition goalkeeper. Tottenham, it's going to be 4 successive wins in the Premier League for the first time since November of 2020, either side of the pre-season break. And as Chris has already said, a very satisfactory start to Nuno's Tottenham career, as Harry Kane wins a corner off Sierra Alta. They're just managing this game out, Spurs.
The thing that Spurs have got to fall back on is Harry Kane's only going to get fitter and better, and they will score goals at some stage, because he's going to catch fire. You know that during the season.
Kane down by the right corner flag. Chipped by Messina. And Hernandez concedes another corner. And we've already had more than 2 of the 4 added minutes at the end of the 90. Højbjerg in no hurry at all to take the corner. In the end he goes short to Lucas Moura, and then Kane trying to hold it up down by that corner flag again. Plays it against Messina. I think he was looking for a corner, but it came for Lucas Moura and then cleared away by Hernandez. Watford have a throw.
It's got to go forward now. No airs and graces. Got to go in there.
Last chance for them. Daniel Bachmann is going to punt it long upfield into the Tottenham half. One last piece of defending for Davinson Sanchez to do, and he does it well. And then Højbjerg volleys it into touch on this near side. 50 seconds of stoppage time to play. Tottenham leading by a goal to 0.
That's poor from Dennis.
Given away cheaply by Dennis to Højbjerg, and here comes Lucas Moura. He's been fouled by Dennis. That will be
the game
for him.
That's the game there.
That's probably the match over.
Yep. Just really poor touch. Thrown into his left foot on the volley. Simple, just lay off to keep the ball. Lazy on his layoff. Spurs nick in, and then he gives away a free kick, and that's the game gone. Any chance they had.
Because there's only 15 seconds left on the clock. Seconds remaining at Turf Moor as well. Burnley 1, Leeds 1 is how it's finished there. So still no victory for either of those two this season, but a 3rd successive win for Nuno Espirito Santo. Tottenham top of the Premier League tree heading into the international break. Son's fortuitous free kick that evaded Daniel Bachmann and sailed into the net with 3 minutes of the first half remaining proved to be the winner. Watford struggling really to lay a glove on Hugo Lloris in response, but the perfect start to the season for Tottenham. Not many people saw them as part of the top 4 conversation, let alone the title shake-up. Maybe they could just surprise us on the day that Harry Kane made his first Premier League start of the season. It was Son on his 200th appearance in the competition who took centre stage and claims the win. Tottenham 1, Watford 0. You are listening to Premier League Live. Chance for Harry Kane straight away, who's been bundled over by Atibo. Big shout certainly from the Tottenham fans for a penalty. That was clumsy from Atibo.
Certainly clumsy from Atibo, definitely. Fortunate to get away with it.
Son has curled it in. Well, I'm not sure he was deliberately going for goal, Son, but that is the outcome. And some way to mark his 200th Premier League appearance. Son from the free kick that maybe shouldn't have been a free kick, was just trying to put it into the Danger zone in the 6-yard box, and it sails beyond Backman and into the corner of goal.
Yeah.
Tottenham 1, Watford 0.
30 minutes to go. McNeil puts it in there to Tarkowski. He's hit the bar. Headed away by Cooper. Now it drops. It's gone in. Meslier. What a nightmare for him. And Chris Wood nets against his former side. The first shot on target in the game. And it was Butterfingers, Illan Meslier, who shoveled it into his own net. Burnley 1, Leeds 0. Into the box, and it's driven in. Mee blocks, comes back up to Shackleton. It's in. It's Patrick Bamford, a former Leeds striker, scoring against Leeds, netting against the Clarets. We are level here with 5 minutes to go and 1-1.
So, late drama at Turf Moor. Patrick Bamford rescuing a point for Leeds after Chris Wood had capitalised on a goalkeeping error to put Burnley in front. Both of those sides continue to wait for their first win of the season. Different story for Tottenham. 15 attempts for them, 8 on target. It was the free kick from Son at the end of the first half that settled this game in their favour. 1-0 victors against a Watford side who, we're told, Chris, managed 2 shots on target, but I can't really recall them.
No, I can't either. No, they were poor throughout, really, Watford, in terms of no attacking threat. Defended well for the majority of the game. I mean, they limited Spurs' chances, really. Spurs didn't have too many really good goal-scoring chances. But, you know, the one goal, the mistake from, I think, Daniel Backman from Son's free kick has cost Watford a point here and has given Spurs the perfect start to the season.
And I guess Nuno will probably be in reflective mood. He knows it wasn't a vintage Tottenham performance, but as you say, 3 wins from 3, and they can only improve.
Exactly. They're only going to get better. You know, they're still getting used to Nuno's ideas, exactly what he wants, how he wants to play. Harry Kane's just coming back into the side. You know, they've got Brian Hill to introduce into the side still. So it's a real positive for Nuno that they've managed to pick up 9 points from 9 at the start of the season.
And we'll end with the stat that I'm sure will only add to Tottenham fans' glee. For the first time in top flight history, Tottenham will end the day top at the same time as Arsenal, their great rivals, end it bottom of the pile. So
I love that.
Certainly plenty of stories in North London, but yeah, different emotions amongst the 2 sets of fans. Chris, thanks for your company this afternoon. We're off to Molineux next. Wolves against Manchester United. Ronaldo's Manchester United. You're listening to Premier League Live.
It's the ultimate fusion of football and celebrity.
The Best 11 podcast from Talk Sport.
Johnny Owen and Mark Webster interview the biggest names in popular culture.
Looking back at the role the beautiful game has played in their lives.
Paul Weller. Could I just start off apologising for last weekend? Actor Stephen Graham. Good morning, Stevie.
Morning. Sharing their earliest football memories.
How they celebrated their team's successes.
Culminating in their all-time best 11.
Noel Gallagher.
Let's deal with the hangover and let's have it again after that.
The Best 11 podcast. Subscribe now on Acast, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
I'm Tom Rennie. Join me for a weekly podcast, Week in the Tackle, available wherever you get your podcasts. I'm going to be joined by Brian Dunseth, MLS legend, to tackle the biggest stories from the week in soccer.
And the great thing about working with Tom and making Week in the Tackle is we're only going to be covering things we think are worth tackling.
This show is all about passion. What's going to get us riled up? What's going to get you riled up to give us all something to chew on?
We're not here to sit on the fence and tell you the stories of the day. That's what your phone's for. You'll be scrolling through Twitter while listening anyways.
Exactly. I'm scrolling through Twitter right now. I'll save you the trouble. It is all bad news. This show is about tackling all the news of the week, giving our take on why it's interesting and why we think you should know it.
Who should be sacked? Who should be bought? Who should be sold? Who was right? Who was wrong?
Strong opinion, big stories, no agenda.
Week in the Tackle is available on Mondays from wherever you get your podcasts. If it's a big story in soccer, we'll tackle it.
Got an unquenchable thirst for sport? Get up to speed with the day's biggest sports stories with the Talk Sport Hit. Crammed full of the latest team news, big match previews, and discussing the day's hottest topics.
They're improving week in, week out.
Plus, get all the latest results and full fan reaction to the biggest events in world sport.
It's a wonderful goal!
Satisfy your thirst for sports news with the Talk Sport Hit. Subscribe now on Acast, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
The Women's Football Weekly Podcast.
With Faye Carruthers. All the action, excitement and drama from across the entire women's game.
Cleared off the line by Steph Horton.
Including the Women's Super League.
Ella Bright is there to tap it in.
The UEFA Women's Champions League.
Lana Cleland striking from outside the penalty area.
And the Euro 2021 qualifiers.
On the edge of the area to Emsley. And Emsley's going to finish it off.
Plus, all the home nations' international friendlies.
Lucy Bronze with the strike from the edge of the penalty area.
World-beating big match conversation.
There's Jodie Taylor.
Subscribe now to the Women's Football Weekly Podcast on Acast, Apple Podcast, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Premier League Live with Talk Sport. All the big goals and big moments from the world's biggest football league.
Salah onto his left foot, you know where it's going, into the far corner, Aubameyang's header, he's got a hat-trick, into Gundogan in the area, and Gundogan scores.
It's the most intense league in world football, and we've got all the action right here.
Pulls it back, Rashford scores. Second goal for Manchester United, Lingard in the box, and it's in, it's a dream debut.
He's found Harry Kane, and this time, Harry Kane makes no mistake.
Premier League Live with Talk Sport.
You're listening to TalkSport's coverage of Wolverhampton Wanderers against Manchester United from Molineux. I'm your host, Kevin Hatchard. Alongside me, the former Wolves striker, David Connolly. This is Premier League Live. Well, this most extraordinary of transfer windows featured another momentous move this week. Cristiano Ronaldo is returning to Manchester, and he'll once again don the red of United rather than the blue of City. The return of the prodigal son to Old Trafford means that United boss Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has another world-class talent at his disposal, but it also reinforces the idea that the Norwegian manager must deliver a title push this season. Well, new Wolves boss Bruno Lage has pressure of a different kind as he looks to reshape the team and indeed the club after the Nuno era came to a close at the end of last season. Wolves have suffered 1-0 defeats against Leicester and Tottenham despite having 42 goal attempts so far.